Story 1. Am I the asshole for causing family drama over a swimming pool? So, I know from experience that Reddit isn't the most understanding towards parents of young kids, but I really just want a third-party opinion because this situation is driving me crazy, and my family keeps saying I need to get over it. I, 30 female, live with my partner and our 2 kids, ages 7 and 3. My older sister, Ava, also 30 female, and her husband recently purchased a house in the local area. It's a super nice place with a big yard and, as you can probably guess from the title, a swimming pool. Ava recently hosted a barbecue at her place. It wasn't a huge event. She invited me, our parents, and our other siblings. She mentioned letting the kids play in the pool, so I assumed my kids would get to be included. We are potty training, although my youngest is still in diapers at the moment. At the barbecue, I was getting my youngest ready for the pool by changing him into a swim diaper. Ava pulled me aside and told me she doesn't think it's hygienic for my youngest to play in the pool since swim diapers don't hold pee, and she asked that he not swim in the pool with the other kids. I didn't think this was fair and told Ava that lots of people, adults and kids, pee in the pool, and it would be no different than at a public pool, so what's the problem? She was being really condescending and wouldn't listen to me at all. She said he can play in the pool when he's toilet trained and that it's not fair to the other kids. At this point, my son was crying because he wanted to swim in the pool, and I told Ava she was being cold. But it's her house and her pool, so do what you want. Ava accused me of trying to guilt trip her and told me to just drop it. I was getting upset myself at this point, so I told our parents and other siblings about what Ava did. They told me it's not a big deal and that it's not worth arguing over, and I should try not to let it bother me. I wasn't happy with this because it essentially meant they were siding with her and downplaying how she treated me and my son. I left the barbecue early with my family because we didn't feel welcome after that. The next day, Ava messaged me a whole paragraph saying that she's sorry I'm upset and that she wasn't trying to exclude my son for the sake of it. It was a super non-apology, and I told her I didn't want to hear it and that she's damaged her relationship with her nephew. I told her she's not the one who had to deal with him being upset. Ava snapped at me out of nowhere and said I'm being dramatic. I told her to grow up, that I have a very valid reason to be mad, and she needs to stop acting like a teenager. Ava showed these messages to everyone, and now everything's just a bit up in the air. I feel like I'm right here, but the rest of my family doesn't seem to agree. So, am I the asshole?
Story 2. I, 37 male, told my girlfriend, 34 female, why my family was giving her bad looks, and now I am on week 2 of drama because of it. Is this salvageable? I am having a hard time right now because my girlfriend, whom I love, has decided that my whole family hates her, and that I am also against her because of what happened when my brother and his family visited. For a little backstory, we have been dating for a little over a year. I am a solo parent. My children's mother is deceased, of 2 amazing little girls, ages 6 and almost 9. She has 3 great kids, 15 female, 14 male, and 9 female. My brother also has 3 kids and comes to visit about once or twice a year for 4 to 5 days. My mom lives very close to me, and I see her almost daily. She helps me with so many things and has really been my rock through difficult times as I became a full-time single dad. I also work full-time as a professional engineer. It's important to mention that during this time, my girlfriend's kids were on a trip with their grandmother for 2 weeks, and she stayed home to work. Recently, my brother visited, and we had dinner at my mom's house. During dinner, my girlfriend was cussing a lot in front of the kids and everyone. She is definitely a cusser, but it's never been an issue for me. However, this time, it seemed out of the ordinary. She was loudly saying certain words at the dinner table with all the kids present, and my mom's natural reaction was to give her a dirty look. She took this as an insult and quickly left after dinner without barely saying goodbye. I tried to play it off, but it was obvious that something was off. She's usually the type to hug everyone before leaving, etc. The next day, after she slept over, she said she wanted to spend the whole day with us, and that we had a bunch of activities planned. She just needed to go home and get pretty. Fast forward to the entire day, and she texted me periodically saying, "I'll be there soon," but we didn't see her until about 4 o'clock. It was a little awkward for me since I told everyone she was coming in the morning. After my brother left, we talked about it, and I told her I didn't like her saying something and then not following through. I would have been fine if she had just spent the day doing whatever she wanted and met us for dinner, or not at all. I just really dislike being told one thing and then having something else happen. I expressed that to her, and so it began. She said I compare her to my ex, which is why I'm sensitive to the "I'll see you soon" thing. She also said my mom was comparing her to my ex, and that I was being unreasonable for wanting her there every second. I do want her there, but also understand that first introductions are better little by little, and I know she has high anxiety, so it's all good. I told her exactly that before and after, but I stuck to my feelings of not wanting to be strung along. Next, she said my mom was giving her a bunch of dirty looks. I told her the likely reason, because she was cussing at the dinner table. Well, I might as well have told her that everyone I know and myself hate her as a person and want her to be a robot. Her exact phrasing was, "I'm not going to censor myself." This led to a bunch of arguing, Not yelling, just talking. It finally got to the point where I was about to throw in the towel, and she backed off. I told her I respect her feelings, but she has to respect mine too. And just because someone didn't like her word choice doesn't mean they hate her. My mom loves her, by the way. She also said she won't change for anyone, and that if I have a problem, it's my problem. She quickly backed off after I repeated back to her what she had said. Now, my daughter's birthday is tomorrow, and I also coach her basketball team, so we won't be able to do a birthday dinner until late. I suggested taking her out to a restaurant and celebrating more the next day. My girlfriend said she wanted to cook and would make dinner happen, but she didn't want my mom to help or even be around. Okay. I told her I'm not going to play referee and that she needs to talk to my mom if she still feels like this. I just want the birthday girl to have a nice dinner. We already had the party this weekend. My mom is totally oblivious to all of this, by the way. Now my girlfriend is mad again, saying I'm not respecting her boundaries and feelings. I'm saying she isn't considering the birthday girl. She now feels terrible and wants to cancel both the birthday dinner and Halloween celebrations. I'm emotionally exhausted by this now. In my mind, what should have been simple communication for a strong relationship has spiraled out of control. I feel like she's making everything about herself and being selfish, but if I told her that, I might as well tell her she's unattractive, smells, and everyone hates her. Am I the asshole? I really do love her and started imagining our future together. I was even thinking about how she and her 3 kids could move in with us in the future. Edit. A lot of people are asking for the timeline. My ex-wife abandoned me when my kids were 18 months old and 4 years old, about 5 years ago. Then, about 18 months later, after we were legally divorced, she passed away. My girlfriend and I introduced the kids after dating for 6 months. I had a previous relationship that lasted 6 months and ended amicably, but I never talked to her. My girlfriend cusses sometimes in inappropriate situations, but this instance was just over the top. Our first year together was great. That's why I fell in love with her. We had a few arguments, but I'm not a very argumentative person. I never yell or get super angry. We went on romantic getaways, snowboarded, hiked, kayaked, camped, and went boating. We had all sorts of great times with and without kids. This all honestly came out of left field, but maybe I missed signs. It's hard to see red flags when wearing rose-colored glasses. I see the overwhelming sentiment, and I have a lot of thinking to do. I stood my ground today and just said we would be doing our own thing for the birthday dinner with just my little family and grandma. She did not take it well and started to escalate to the point where she almost blew up the whole relationship, but backed down when she realized I was going to let that happen. We argued and talked over text, and now it's down to her saying, I mess everything up. I told her we need to talk in person this weekend. I don't think we'll do Halloween together tomorrow night either. I think I need to go very low contact with the kids until further notice. So, am I the asshole? Is this salvageable?
Story 3. Am I the asshole for calling my mom when my husband refused to listen to me? I, 26 female, recently moved into my first home. I am also 4 months pregnant with our first baby. The pregnancy has been very hard. I have horrible morning sickness, and it reached a really bad point where I passed out, hit my head, and my doctor admitted me to the hospital for a week. When I got home, my husband had allowed his brother's family to move into 2 of our 3 bedrooms. They were evicted, I don't know why. My office was tossed into our bedroom, with papers everywhere. The house was a complete wreck, trash, dirty clothes, used diapers. I started to cry. It was like a light flipped, my husband was no longer the same. He told me it wasn't that bad. My reply was, fine, then you should have the house cleaned up before I wake up. Completely exhausted, I fell asleep for 4 hours. When I woke up and went to get a drink of water, I couldn't. Every glass we own was scattered around the house. They didn't clean a single thing. I passive-aggressively started picking up the dirty dishes and washing them. The following morning, I was trying my best to work, but their kids were crying nonstop and banging on the walls. Their mom stayed in her room for hours, ignoring them. When my husband came home, he was upset with me for not making his brother's wife feel welcome in our home by helping with their kids when she was tired. Then he complained that nothing had been done in the house while he was at work all day, the same house he didn't clean. That led to a fight where I told him, I am too sick to have company, and they need to leave. He replied that they are his family and he won't kick them out. I started crying again. I was beyond frustrated, exhausted, and physically couldn't do it anymore. I called my mom, asking if I could come stay with her, and told her the whole story in front of my husband. He looked completely shocked, angry, and unsure of what to do. My mom came with my brothers. I have 3 older brothers. She was super angry and told my husband, since your family can stay, so can we. My mom quickly took charge, sending me to bed. My brothers started cleaning, loudly complaining about how disgusting my brother-in-law's family is and what a horrible husband my husband is for putting me through this while I'm sick. I got a text message from my mother-in-law calling me an asshole for not helping my husband clean up the house and for putting my brother-in-law in an uncomfortable position by having my mom boss him around. Edited to add an update. When my mother-in-law showed up, she was super angry outside. I could hear shouting but couldn't understand what was being said. Once inside, she was shocked. My house looked really bad. My brother-in-law had lied to her about what happened. She quickly started helping my mom take charge. My house is now not just cleaned but deep cleaned. My brother-in-law and his kids are now staying with my mother-in-law. She didn't know about the eviction. My in-laws had helped them financially a couple of months ago, and my mother-in-law was not happy about it. My sister-in-law refused to come out of the bedroom. She would scream through the door but didn't do anything until her family came to pick her up. Last update, I did talk to my husband. He seemed very remorseful. I asked for some space, and he is staying at a hotel. He asked to come by and talk to me tonight. My mom and dad are here. Both moms felt like I should have someone with me since I'm sick. They've set up a meal plan where they trade off who will bring dinner, which was actually my mother-in-law's idea. Thank you for all your advice, I truly appreciate it. Talk with my husband, summed up, since it lasted 4 hours. It was a hard talk. He is remorseful. My brother-in-law was only supposed to stay for a couple of nights and leave. Originally, my husband thought they would be gone before I got home. He said he is tired and emotionally overwhelmed himself. When I originally passed out, my husband had left to help a friend move. He came home and found me on the floor. He said he has no idea how long I was lying there hurt. He was originally scared that I had died. Since then, he's had nightmares, on top of dealing with his family drama. He admitted to dumping his frustration onto me when it wasn't my fault. He begged me for another chance. The next steps, we are still separated. He plans on staying at my brother's house in his casita. We are going to go to marriage counseling and individual counseling. He asked if he could come when the home health nurse visits each night and to my doctor's appointments. I agreed to that. Update on my brother-in-law, his wife admitted to having an affair. She told him she got married too soon and doesn't want the responsibilities of being a mom anymore. I'm not sure what will happen with him and his kids, but I am shocked that she feels this way, especially with her kids.
Story 4. Am I the asshole for asking my brother not to bring his boyfriend to my wedding? Okay, this is the worst. I'm losing sleep over this. I'm getting married in a week to an awesome woman, and I cannot wait to be her husband. We are so excited. My brother is gay, but my family doesn't know. Only me and my parents know. I come from a very old-school, traditional family, so the older part of the family, grandparents and some aunts and uncles, still have last century's mindset, while the younger portion, cousins and siblings, are open-minded and living in the present. My brother has been dating his boyfriend for 6 months now. The guy is great, and I'm so happy my brother found someone. But it's kind of a secret, as he hasn't told our family he is gay. I've been telling him for years that he should come out, because I know it stresses him a lot. I think it would make him feel better not to hide anymore, plus I bet a few family members already suspect. But he disagrees because he knows part of the family won't accept it, and it will cause a lot of drama. I see it differently. I think the sooner you know who the idiots are, the sooner we can cut them out of our lives. I have no interest in having someone in my life who doesn't accept my brother being gay. Anyway, it's his decision, not mine, so for now, he won't say anything. Until a few weeks ago, when he said he wants to bring his boyfriend to my wedding. I was not expecting that, to be honest. He went from 0 to 100 pretty fast. If it were any other occasion, I would be supportive, obviously, but I don't think my wedding day is the right time for that. Imagine all the drama, gossip, and nonsense that would happen. I don't want to take the attention away from my fiancée. This is her day. I don't want to have to worry about that on my wedding day, and I think that's a pretty valid reason. I asked him why my wedding day, and he said it's because he wants to celebrate love with the two people he loves the most, me and his boyfriend. This is killing me. I would fight my whole family for my brother and never speak to them again if I had to. But my wedding day is supposed to be a celebration, not a family fight. I can't do this to my wife. It might ruin our future. I didn't even tell her yet. She's already stressed out, and I don't want to make it worse. With a heavy heart, I asked him to please come alone to the wedding, and I hoped he would understand. He started crying and left my house without saying anything. The next day, I got a text from him saying, "Don't worry going alone." I tried calling him, but he didn't answer, and my parents don't seem to know what's happening because they haven't said anything. He eventually called me back a few days later. We spoke, and he said he understands my side, but things are still weird between us. This is the worst situation of my life. Am I the asshole for handling it the way I did? PS1. I want to thank the Redditor who sent me a private message saying they hope a mass shooter shows up at my wedding. So thoughtful. PS2. Thanks for the gold and support. Update. I spoke to my fiancée. I couldn't keep this from her anymore, and she agreed with me. Clarification. I know it won't be my brother who causes trouble. The trouble would start with remarks and looks from some aunt or uncle. It doesn't matter. We are spending a lot of money on this wedding and have been planning it for a long time. My fiancée put her heart and soul into planning this wedding. I don't want to see my bride or my mom crying, or some idiot uncle insulting my brother. Literally, every other day of my life, I will support my brother's decision to come out. Even at the wedding, I would obviously defend him. But the point is, not at the wedding. Also, my brother is not the asshole. Not at all.
Story 5. Am I the asshole for refusing to let my neighbor use my driveway after she's been parking in it without asking? I, 30 female, live in a suburban neighborhood with my husband, 32 male. We have a double driveway that fits both of our cars comfortably, and we've lived here for about 5 years. Our next door neighbor, let's call her Linda, moved in a year ago. She's an older woman in her late 50s who seems friendly on the surface but has started to cause some issues. It started a few months ago when I came home and found her car parked in my driveway. At first, I thought it was a mistake, so I knocked on her door to ask her to move it. She apologized, saying she had a guest over and her driveway was full. I let it slide that time. But then it kept happening. I'd come home to find her car, or sometimes her guests' cars, in my driveway. I told her multiple times that it wasn't okay, but she'd just shrug it off and move the car when I asked, often saying things like, "It's not like you were using it right then." The final straw happened last week. My mother-in-law, who isn't exactly my biggest fan, was visiting, and I specifically asked her to park in the driveway so she wouldn't block the street. When we came home from running errands, Linda's car was there again. My mother-in-law was already in a bad mood and snidely remarked, "Wow, even your neighbors walk all over you. I wonder why." I was furious. I knocked on Linda's door and told her that this was the last time she was parking in my driveway, period. She got defensive, saying I was being unreasonable since she only does it occasionally and that it's just a driveway, not a sacred space. Since then, she started giving me the cold shoulder, and I've noticed her glaring at me whenever I'm outside. My husband says I might have gone too far and should have just let it slide, especially since she's older and it's not worth the drama. Even my mother-in-law, shockingly, agreed, saying that I should pick my battles. But I feel like it's my property, and I shouldn't have to keep asking someone not to use it without permission. At the same time, maybe I overreacted by confronting her so harshly. So, am I the asshole for refusing to let my neighbor park in my driveway and possibly escalating things? Update: my neighbor kept parking in my driveway, so I had her car towed. Over the past few months, Linda has repeatedly ignored my requests to stop parking in our driveway. Well, today things finally came to a head. I woke up early for an appointment, only to find Linda's car parked in my driveway again, blocking me in. My husband had already left for work, so I knocked on her door and waited for about 15 minutes, but there was no answer. I even tried calling her, but her phone went straight to voicemail. I was running late and completely fed up, so I called a towing company. They arrived quickly, and as they were hooking up her car, Linda stormed out of her house, furious. She yelled at me and the tow truck driver, calling me petty and claiming I could have just waited a bit longer or left a note. I calmly reminded her that I'd asked her multiple times to stop parking in my driveway, but she wasn't having it. She ended up paying the towing fee, and now she's absolutely livid. She's been telling other neighbors that I'm a vindictive control freak, and a couple of them have hinted that I might have gone too far. Even my husband thinks I could have handled it differently and avoided escalating things. And, of course, my mother-in-law, who was visiting today, had to chime in with one of her usual subtle digs. As we were sitting down for lunch, she casually remarked, "Some people just can't manage conflict like adults." I'm pretty sure she wasn't talking about Linda. So now, Linda glares at me every time she sees me, my husband is annoyed about the neighborhood drama, and my mother-in-law is treating this like it's my personal failure. I still think I was justified, but I'll admit the fallout is a lot to deal with. So, am I the asshole? What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comment section below.